Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. And we've got a special supersized Impact Attack that you've handed us, and I guess we'll have to take care of it for one more week. But who's we? I am Jamie the Vet Williams, and joining me as always is my stalwart co-host Brandon. And we're not pausing for intros anymore. Ray's just going to have to do what he does. He's going to have to earn that paycheck, such as it is. Brandon, how's it going?
It is going pretty well. Life's been getting a lot better, and unfortunately, this was not a very good impact. There were some decent things that were building to some of the bigger matches, but as far as a go-home show goes, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I always think about how it's challenging to put together a show from a set of tapings leading up to something, because things could change and you could get ideas later that you didn't have 3 weeks ago, but at the same time you also see what happens when you have to provide a 2-hour show live every week. I definitely see that on the Next Level Wrestling review. It just isn't the same. So, it's not I don't envy Jimmy Jacobs and whoever else is tasked with putting this stuff together, but, and they're trying. They turned off the lights though. We have to acknowledge that they turned off the lights. So the show is looking quite a bit better. Not nearly as Bush League. But some people in the chat think that, Impact and Hard to Kill was awesome. Named Canada Spaceman. So speaking of Canada Spaceman, why don't we see who's sitting in here with us tonight, shall we?
Let's see. We got Lab Rat taking time from getting tested on to come hang out with us. We got Buckshot Kid. We got Canada Spaceman, Javi Uchida, Lisbeth. Everybody's here hanging out, want to talk some Impact.
That's right. And they'll probably be talking Raw and is the football game still going on? I don't know. If not, feel free to comment on that or whatever else you'd like to comment on. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that Impact, and we're going to talk about that Hard to Kill. Before we do that, is there anything else that's going on in the world that needs talking about? Any other things, major happenings?
We're back, pal. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. Well, everybody in the world's talked about it, but you might as well take a turn, because we're always last to the party when it comes to our recording schedule and everything. So
yeah, funny how this bit of news always has to drop on Fridays.
Yep. Yeah, what'd you think? What'd you think when you heard it? A lot of people were saying, oh, I knew this was just a matter of time, but this was a very short matter of time.
Man, I didn't think Vince was going to stay away. He still had the controlling interest of controlling ownership and majority votes. There was no way he could not somehow use it to force his way back in and regain power that way. However, doing so, it looks like it's triggered a lawsuit, and he's already got an SEC investigation going on into him. I think this guy's pride in his ego and just his fuck them or fuck me, fuck you attitude is going to be his downfall.
Yep. Well, that could be a big reason of why it's getting pushed to happen so quickly now, rather than taking your sweet time or whatever before, right?
I think he understands that, because when he mentioned in the I think was it a press release that Vince put out?
Yeah.
Where he said there is a very small window of opportunity. I think he realizes that with the numbers that Raw and SmackDown have been bringing in, they're not going to have those get those numbers again for the bargaining rights or for the media rights.
That's true. Well, I mean, you've heard me say a bunch of times that this the companies like, you know, that actually pay for media rights, like we're looking at Comcast, Disney. Ultimately, those are the two companies that own the companies that broadcast the station. You know, that broadcast the WWE programming. I mean, what are they going to really buy? You know, that's what I've always said. I mean, if they've already have the content, they're only buying the rights to it. Is it worth it to spend a big outrageous figure just so that you can then what? Do what? I mean, they're asking, you know, supposedly they'd be asking billions of dollars, but I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know how it's worth that. If they're not bringing in that amount of money, I don't see how they're worth that amount of money. You know, but there was an interesting thing on Keeping It 100 with Billy Body talking about, you know, the Saudi thing is like a, you know, possibly a leaked piece of info on purpose, so that with that lawsuit you're talking about, if the Saudis are the highest bidders, that means that they can't sue for him being, or for him like trying to do something to tank the company, because they would be the ones that would be paying the most money more than anybody. So it can't be in the worst interest of the company to sell to them. So technically they can't sue him for trying to.
It gives him some plausible deniability that he was acting in the best interest of the shareholders, trying to get the highest possible deal on the company, or the highest amount.
Right. And so that may still happen. And when it does, then it doesn't matter about the lawsuit, because if the company goes private, then all that everybody just gets their money and walks away. So I don't think anybody that gets a payout from a buyout is going to sit there and still go through with the lawsuit like, no, I wanted to own a piece of the WWE. It's not going to happen. So
No, I'll take my money and walk away.
Yep. So yeah. So that's what we're looking at. But I don't know. More people in the wrestling, the marks are just concerned with thinking about things like creative. Oh, all these people that Triple H rehired are in trouble. I'm pretty sure Vince doesn't care at this point. I think he's just about that revenge and whatever else right now. So he's probably just going to look to get rid of this thing. And then, which is, you know, I don't know. We can go back and forth talking about the implications of this and the speculations, and people have, and will continue to, but you know, there's probably stuff like this that definitely happen on the Impact level, but it just was never interesting enough to the mainstream media to ever talk about. So we can't talk about something like that.
Well, that, and I think it's also too, like, you know, as Ben talks about, WWE is like rooted. It's Americana. It's part of the fabric of American culture.
Oh yeah, Vince loved to say that too. A slice of Americana. He just hears some word and then he just won't let it go. Look, and who uses Americana besides Vince McMahon? So yeah, what better way to what better way to show to represent Americana than to give it to a royal family? That's the best way. We're all about our royal families here in America. We love them. We absolutely love them. So
yep. And then in Saudi Arabia, they're going to have LGBT on a pole match.
Yep. As Liz points out, their balance sheet assets at 12/31 showed that it had assets of $1 billion, but their cash was reduced by $300 million. So yeah, total assets of $1 billion, allegedly, minus, you know what? So 700 million of actual, you know, and then they want then the supposed sale is for 7.5. Anywhere's rumored from anywhere from $7.5 to $9 billion is the sale. Why the hell would you pay that? Even if you could afford it. Look, I think I do, like, people say that, oh, the Saudis overpay for everything or whatever. And maybe they do, but speaking as somebody that has enough money to live and do whatever else he wants, a deal's a deal. And when I'm like shopping at the grocery store or shopping online or anything else, it doesn't matter if I can afford the thing or not. If I'll be upset if I could have gotten it cheaper. You know what I mean? Like, or if I overpaid for something, it doesn't matter whether I have the money or not. It's the principle. And I can't think that on something of this scale you wouldn't think the same way as I'm thinking of, like, oh well, I could have got this what's it called? I could have bought this I could have got this gallon of milk cheaper at a different store if I had just, gone to that, or if I had been at that store or whatever. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, I could have not paid $7.5 billion for this. I could have paid 2 or something. Like, these things have to enter people's minds, but maybe they don't. I don't know. Anyway, so, but we got we got plenty of stuff to talk about besides all that. Is there anything else you want to get into before we start doing the impact review?
I just remember back when I think it was like remember this episode of Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Disco when Vince and Disco actually read the 2018 WWE SEC report, and they're basically the only thing that kept them in the black and kept them from actually making a profit was the Saudi and TV rights deals. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made enough money. They would have lost money that year.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's all that has. I mean, you're not going to sell enough $27.99 t-shirts to make up for all the people that aren't buying tickets. That's just the way it is. No matter what anybody says, it's still a live event business. And if you can't get people in the buildings, I mean, everything goes downhill from there.
Right, exactly. You can only prop it up so much before it just eventually rots and collapses.
Yeah. So, on that note, you can only prop it up so much. Let's talk about Impact Wrestling. They seem to be finding a way. They seem to be doing fine. They seem to be, not only not particularly struggling, but relatively healthy they figured out what's working for them as a business model, and they keep consistently making those little changes. I'm not talking about turning off the lights or not playing music under Gia's entrance videos or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, whether it's taking YouTube monetization to the degree that they have, or finding different ways to merchandise things, or
international
whatever it is.
Deals.
International deals is probably big, and they've done these little things that aren't exciting for people to talk about, or at least pay attention to. Like, Dave Meltzer could report these things and people could just, like, brush them aside because it's Impact and no one cares. Impact Wrestling lol, as Conrad says. So, but I mean, they're if you go ahead and look at some of these little details like we have over however long we've been covering it, then you start to see, like, I don't think they're really that in trouble. I don't know how they're able to. I don't know how much they could be paying people, but apparently they are. And people keep coming in and they seem to be happy with it, at least for a little while. So whatever that is, they're here. And we're here on the Impact Wrestling from, what was this? The 12th?
The 12th, that is correct.
And we got it looks very similar to what you're seeing right now. It's a Zoom call between. Well, we had Josh Matthews as a mediator. Don't know why we needed this, but he's with the other Josh, and he's with Bully, and so they're doing like a little back and forth over Zoom because they're not supposed to be at Impact, right? That's the stipulation. They're not supposed to be there. And so what'd you think of this? I mean, was this a way to be of the times, having a Zoom interview with wrestlers who hate each other to keep them away? It's just the via satellite thing that the WWE did, but I mean, what'd you think of this?
I mean, I like that they tried to do something to get them on TV while still keeping up the stipulation. I think they could have got a little bit more creative with it. Like maybe Josh is training somewhere and Bully shows up, but then we just kind of saw something similar. But then again, with Bailey and Kenny King, but then again, Bailey wasn't there. He was just beating up Bailey's students rather than showing up and jumping Bailey himself while he's training.
Right.
Or maybe like, then I was gonna say we go after his family, but then again we just saw that with Moose.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't really go there. I mean, just find something.
And he's been doing it,
right? And we already saw Bully go after his wife. Maybe find something else of Josh's that like is dear to him that Bully could go after.
Oh, it's too late now. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. The only issue I had was the thing that, like, he's saying, a Bully saying, "You've never been in a match like this." Like, I know I can't go 60 minutes like you, but you've never been in a match like this. And I just had to think, like, every match with no DQ is a match like this, potentially. Like, you just name the matches different things, but essentially, if there's no, we're going to see this Full Metal Mayhem match at Hard to Kill. We're also going to see Falls Count Anywhere match at Hard to Kill. What's the difference? It's, you take the rules out, you have pretty much the same options at your disposal, and I'm pretty sure that Josh Alexander has been in matches that had no rules before. I mean, I can't sit there and make you a list of them off the top of my head, but if I went back and looked, or if you went to Channel Attitude and subscribed and looked at all the past episodes of the Impact Attack, you would have heard us talk about those matches that he had that have no rules, and you could just pull out whatever weapons that you want and call the match whatever you want. I mean, so that doesn't make any sense. But, I mean, what else is Bully going to say at this point to try to make himself sound good?
Maybe like, cause he brought up the whole thing of how Demore went through the first punch last week. Maybe have something where Bully comes out and maybe files lawsuit against Impact Wrestling for a hostile work environment because you got executives and vice presidents attacking the talent unprovoked, technically.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. But that would just be for another promo. It's not like you can really follow up with that because everything is his fault anyway, and he's doing things he's not supposed to. That's the whole thing. That's the consistency thing that I would like to see in 2023. We've seen Impact address a lot of those little things, and I'd like to continue to see them address things like consistency, where you've got some actions as a result of or some consequences as a result of actions, but other times none. Like, I'd like to see a more consistent consequence follow through on some of these things. So, but as it is now, all you got to do is, like, zip tie somebody to the ropes and grab somebody's wife, and you get your championship match. It's just that simple. You know what else is simple is just a singles match. Such as Brian Myers versus Heath. And I'm watching this and I'm like, am I watching Impact, or did I accidentally click on an episode of WWE Main Event from 5 years ago? Because that's what I would have seen if that was the case. It's the same thing. But Heath wins with the wake-up call to build the all-important momentum going into their 4-way tag match. You know how you build that momentum when you pin a guy in a singles match, and that'll give you everything you need to win a match where you could randomly lose and not even be involved in the decision. But
It's an elimination match.
It is an elimination match, and that's going to come into play. What I said later when you see how that worked out. But yeah, so that was this. What'd you think?
I did like the logical booking of the ref saw that the partners are getting involved, so she sent both of them to the back and let it be a one-on-one. Like I like that logic consistent booking of refs being like clearly seeing you two. Okay, you two are going to be trouble. You're out of here.
Yeah, I don't know why they left. I mean, all you have to do is stay out there and do whatever you're doing, and all the referees will say is, "What are you doing? Stop! Get out of here! That's enough! What are you doing?" I mean, they can't really do anything if you just don't leave.
Well, then they can back that up with their authority saying, okay, well, if you don't leave, I'll throw the match out and nobody wins. Or if your guy doesn't leave, I'll disqualify you or whatever.
And what would be the consequence of that?
Right, exactly. There's no stakes on it, which is why we're having this match in the first place.
Right. To build that all-important momentum. Like, hey, Cardona, please go to the back. I don't want to lose my momentum. Just do what they say. God, my momentum. Oh, God, my momentum. So anyway, so we get an Ace and Bay promo. Any notes on that?
Nothing on Bully Ray attacking him, like admitting to be the one jumping him in the parking lot.
Was that here? I don't remember.
No, I remembered when Bully.
Oh no! You're talking about the Ace and Bay promo. You're saying why didn't they say anything about it? Yeah, because they taped this before he admitted it. Probably. I don't know. More editing mishaps. I don't know. I would have wanted to mention it, but
I mean, 'cause they had been doing a really good job of keeping that consistently going and reminding us, oh yeah, that happened, and he was the one that was actually Bully who did it. Okay, so why don't they want any kind of retribution for it? Unless, and this would actually kind of make a little sense and kind of fit Bullet Club, is they kind of take it as hey, maybe we need to start doing that kind of ruthless list and kind of model ourselves after Bully. But then again, he's got his tag team doing that already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. They're kind of like the Bullet Club right now are kind of like soft heels. They're not really trying to heel out, but they like the adulation of the fans. But that's not true Bullet Club.
Right. You can't. It's one of those things where you got to go one way or the other. You can't have one foot on one side and the other foot on the other.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole Bullet Club's in shambles now. Jay White lost the heavyweight championship at Wrestle Kingdom, and they're all without their leader. They just nobody knows what to do. And maybe Carl Anderson lost his belt, and yeah, it's a mess over there.
Maybe it is time for a Bullet to go into the Bullet Club.
Maybe. All right, so Taya Valkyrie is hurt in the hallway, which is light free, by the way. Just want to point that out. Ahead of the match, Rosemary versus Savannah. Before we get to this match of Rosemary versus Savannah Evans, you look like you're very disappointed that Taya was sitting down in the hallway hurt.
This was, I mean, it was a decent idea, but executed so poorly. Like, she was supposed to be attacked and laid out by 4 people. Instead, she's sitting there cradling herself like her boyfriend just dumped her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right. And the acting was just like cheesy, and like it could have been done way better. Like, why wasn't she like, she should have been laid out just like unconscious maybe, or maybe like getting put on a stretcher or something. But like she just sitting down, legs outstretched, holding herself like she just got dumped. That does I don't know.
Does anybody know the relationship status between her and Johnny whatever? Because that could have been the case. Well, look, you're starting to sound like me with this whole thing. I'm just happy that there's no light sitting in the hallway. That's my main thing. I think Impact's doing a great job, and I think her acting was perfectly adequate. Anyway, moving on to Rosemary versus Savannah. So they're still calling Savannah Evans the cannibal, right as Rosemary is biting her face. I like how they still had to get
Yeah.
that in, that she's the cannibal.
Which I think that had to be a rib. That
Had
had
to
to
be a
be a
rib.
rib.
It probably reminded them to call her the cannibal. Like, oh yeah, like she's trying to get that over, even though the announcer doesn't call her that, or there's no graphic that says that. Maybe for marketing purposes, but it can be a nickname, like a mild nickname that they use. Anyway, Evans eventually wins, and then the new faction beats everyone up. So, and by new faction, of course, I mean Savannah, Tasha, Jay, Vidal, and Giselle Shaw. So they're all buddies at the current moment, and they kick everybody who's stupid enough to stick around, kick their ass. So, what'd you think of the match? What'd you think of that post match?
Again, it was just badly executed, just like that pre-tape beforehand. Like you have Jessica's out there, and then you have the three heels, like all four of them jumping Rosemary and then Jessica stands there and does absolutely nothing about it. She doesn't go after the three that aren't in the match.
I guess she doesn't.
Like literally, she just stood on the other side. Like she's on the other complete opposite side of the other ring, just standing there, just like yelling at them. Like she doesn't go run around and go help her friend.
It's that barrier that pops up from time to time in certain places in the arena. It's like an invisible barrier, you know. It usually stops around the ropes sometimes, but sometimes it's on the outside too. Like, it's just a thing that you got to deal with as a pro wrestler. Like we would, you know, in training we would practice trying to climb the barrier, but no one ever got over it. So yeah, that was that. Then we get a flashback to Hard to Kill 2020, where Macho Moose defeats Rhino. I guess they had a singles match at this event, and it just showed Moose beating Rhino. There you go. The spear is stronger than the gore, I guess. Then we get a vignette for the People's Witch, Taylor Wilde. So she's the People's Witch. Taylor the Rock Wild. She's rumored to be in the Royal Rumble this year. You know? Yeah. What do you think of the People's Witch? Does he like the People's Witch?
I would need to see more like what makes you the people's witch. Like, do you give out free tarot card readings? Do you cast turn like the town douchebag into a frog?
Maybe it's just that they didn't properly turn you heel, so they're just coming up with a reason why people still like you, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where we need a clear cut direction. Okay, are we going heel or are we going babyface with this, and then go?
I just wonder whose idea this was. Did Taylor just bring this in and say, "Hey, I want to be a witch now," and then they're trying to like humor her? I don't know. It's I don't know, but I'm not, you know, nothing terrible yet. It's just I'm just not that into the gimmick, but I guess she could get me into it if with the proper whatevers.
I mean, the obvious feud would be with her and the Death Dolls, or at least the involvement or interaction.
Yeah, it seems obvious. They should interact. They're both in the same same building, so you know why wouldn't you run into each other? Lara says she eats all the bad kids. But yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. Mickey and Jordan package, hyping up their match. Okay. Next up is the design. Now I didn't get I'm not confused, am I? I didn't get Mandela, did I? They were called the design before, right? It's not that I've been saying it wrong all these weeks and not paying attention. They did change it, right?
Yeah, it's been the design.
It's been the design the entire time.
As far as I can remember, yep.
It was never the designed past tense.
Correct, yeah, because it play off of Violent by Design, the design.
Well, how could I miss that? With all these graphics, I could have sworn. Anyway,
And plus, wasn't it like in that one final vignette with Eric Young where he basically declared Diener as the design?
I I guess, but I just thought I guess I just misheard it and missaw it for all these weeks. I'm just looking for yeah, okay. See, it's more proof that I could get things wrong. Um, but I did not notice it until this week when they came out. It looked like they changed their mind or something. But anyway, all right. So the design, which has always been the design and nothing else, are talking about the process, and they call Sammy Callahan, and then the they call Sammy Callahan out, and he gets himself a haircut. And they're saying that this is the death of the Death Machine and the birth of Callahan. So essentially, this is just an extended haircut sequence. But it does show that Sammy is acquiescing to whatever they're asking of him to join this group. For what reason, we still don't know.
I was waiting for the vignettes of him selling brake pads.
I could take a dump in a box and put a guarantee on it.
But I know all I sold you was a guaranteed piece of shit.
Oh man, here comes the meat wagon. Wee.
All because you wanted to save a few extra pennies.
All right. Well, we'll save our reenactment of the entire movie of Tommy Boy for the end of the show. And right now we'll move on to Gia. Gail's with Gia and no music underneath. She is filling in for Scott, is the question that Gia has, basically. And Gail is somewhat non-committal about this, but I was thinking, I wonder how Gail will look with the headset. Probably pretty good still, right? I don't see any reason why she wouldn't.
She should have worn it just for this episode as a rib.
Oh yeah, man. Come on. Like, guys, come on. It's right there. You seem to love this kind of shit. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Don't tell me you didn't think of it. Don't tell me nobody thought of it. All right.
Even just this one show, just have Gail Kim come out wearing the headset.
It would be great. I would love it. Next, something I didn't love is Speedball versus Anthony Green again. The best thing in wrestling is 0-2 to start off. So, any comments on this?
I just really like how Speedball is really like, he's gotten a lot better when it comes to taking his time and just letting everything he does breathe.
Okay. All right. Anything on Anthony Green? Is he the best thing in wrestling?
No.
Oh. Does he have better genes than Hangman Page?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's make it sure. Okay. Little quick silent thing of Hendry, Swan, and Gresham conferring before their match. Then we get a Josh and Bully package, and then we found one of our missing people. We found Killer Kelly. She's gonna be on the pay-per-view in a 4-way #1 contenders match for the Knockouts Championship. So there she is.
We're still missing Chelsea Green. Where has Chelsea been? We saw her leave, but no updates.
No updates. Kind of would like to know.
Although with what happens at Hard to Kill, that would actually be a great setup for her to come back.
Yes, but will she? You'll just have to tune in and find out. And now we get to our main event, which is Moose, Burt Macklin, and Fat Eddie versus Jonathan Gresham, Rich Swann, and Joe Hendry. Moose is standing tall at the end of this. And And at the very end of the show, the lights are flickering, and Fat Eddie looks scared, and that's how we kind of go off the air. But anyway, back to the match. So, when you like, I showed this match to somebody just that they had not seen that they're an Impact Attack listener, but they don't really watch Impact. So this would be the first time that they saw Joe Hendry like as the gimmick, right? And or just ever, I don't think they'd ever seen him before. They'd only heard us talking about him. But he said he instantly got it. Like as soon as he saw everything, like he's like, okay, I get it. Like it's perfectly understandable gimmick. But it's another example of like, you got Moose out there, and he's really looks like the star that he is in a match like this, doing all the right things at the right times in a match which you normally wouldn't care about, but he's making it interesting enough. A shitty 6, as Ben would say. No. This is a main event 6. It's only a shitty 6 when Ben's in it. Just kidding. But yeah, no, this was a match with, a preview of all these guys that are going to have singles matches on the pay-per-view. And you get them in here and team them up, and you get like a little taste, and then that's supposed to sort of get you excited for the 3 showdowns that you're going to get on Hard to Kill. So I like that. I think it kind of did that. I really took away that Moose looked great out here. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. What do you got to say?
I just really did not like the choreographed 6-man spot, like right in the middle of the match, right before we went to commercial break.
And like what was that again on this one?
It was like they went into like a waterfall spot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just like those very clearly set up choreographed spots that it just takes me right out of it. Like, all right, you're telling me this is fake.
Well, that's Impact for you. They're going to do that. They may or may not have invented that spot. If they didn't invent that spot, they stole it from Japan. So, whichever you prefer. But yeah, I don't know. Thought it was accepting those little things. I still thought it was enjoyable and easy to watch and not too long.
I mean, at least Moose got a pretty decent amount of screen time.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking here. Maybe that's my bias. Maybe it could have been anything could have happened, and as long as Moose goes over, I would be happy with it.
Yeah, I think that was the most amount of times Moose has been on an episode in months.
Yeah, it's like all the episodes leading up to this, barely any Moose. Although we did get the thing with the dancing Moose.
That's true, we did.
He was out there for a while with the mic, but
got rejected from football.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's your go home episode. As you said at the beginning, not necessarily the greatest go home episode. However, I don't have any muffins here, and I didn't need any. It was, the very worst of it was still just acceptable for what I'm used to seeing from them. So, okay, fine, sure. Hard to Kill. I'm watching it anyway. I don't know how it works, for the average person. I don't know if the average person is deciding what they're going to purchase based on what they see on the show. I mean, if they're not excited about this stuff, then I don't know. I guess it would be like you're counting on Bully Ray to sell this thing more than anything else. Like you're seeing if he's going to actually win the championship. I don't know I wouldn't know how to get in the mind of an Impact fan. I don't know what they must be thinking. Like the people that sign up for the YouTube, subscription and like actually look forward to these things. Like I couldn't imagine how they feel about it. What what is it that drives you as a fan? Are you just in for everything, or are you selective? I would love to know. Not enough to actually talk to any of them, but I still would love to know. If any of them are listening, please at Opinion Haver on Twitter, send me a message and tell me why you love Impact. And what makes you decide whether you're going to watch or purchase one of their premium events, like Hard to Kill, which came from Friday the 13th. A very unlucky and scary day. And now you watched this, right?
I did not, unfortunately. Admittedly, I'm kind of worried about those getting viruses and malware from the alternative sites to watch it at.
All right. Well, as long as you have ad blocker installed, you're fine. But in any case,
But I did read the results, so I understand what's going on.
Okay. All right. Well, on the countdown, we had what was this 6-way match for the what was this for? Was this for the X Division #1 contender?
I believe so. Yes.
It was Kushida versus Mike Bailey versus Mike Jackson versus Delirious versus Angels versus Yuya Uemura. And so, like, they're already just kicking off their countdown show with this. And while they're doing that, Tom is, like, running down the entire card while these guys are, like, going right into their spots and stuff. So he's completely ignoring all the action in the ring to say, you know, that we're going to have a 4-way #1 contenders match or a 4-way championship match for the Impact titles and all this other shit. Just ignoring everything. And I don't know if that's the best, but I do understand that they're trying to get people that are just clicking onto it. They want to make sure that before they click off, they hear all the matches that are going to be coming up on the show. So maybe do that before the match starts and then go into the match if that's how you want to do it. I don't know, just a suggestion from a nobody. But
or maybe like during the kickoff show, you do like build up the individual matches on the big show in between the pre-show matches.
Maybe, but I think, like I said, I think their idea is you're just turning it on, so they want to stuff all the matches down your throat. Like, they know there's a limited time between people that would just be like, they might go to the YouTube homepage, if anybody does that, and they might see that there's a live Impact Wrestling thing going on, and they might click on that for a second, and then if that's the beginning of it, they want to make sure that those people know what matches are going to be on, and then they can say, oh, maybe I will purchase this. That's the idea. But if that's what you're going to do, don't save it for after the match already started, because then you're going to ignore Mike Jackson at 73 years old doing a dive and a full revolution of walking the top rope on poor Angels, who has to stand there while this fucking old man walks around the ring holding his hands on the top rope while everybody's just like, yeah, an old man doing things. And then of course Angel's is also the guy that taps to Kushida's armbar later, so he's totally fucked. Can't even pull an old man off the rope. You don't think he's gonna escape Kushida's armbar, do you? There's no chance.
You know what though? For Angels, this could actually make for a good spot later on for maybe as part of Callahan's initiation. Diener makes Callahan punish Angels for his loss.
Yep. Well, so Kenny King also during this match comes out and he attacks Mike Bailey to get him uninvolved in the decision here. So that's why the great Mike Bailey was not able to win this. As Canada Spaceman points out that SoCal Val is a stuck-up broad and she never wrote me back and unfriended me quickly on MySpace a long time ago. I wonder why. Could it be because in 2023 you use the term like broads? Do you think that has anything to do with it? Not sure, but just a thought. Anyways, Crazy Steve intros Black Taurus with Friday the 13th noises in his promo. He gets on the mic and he's like, shh. So getting that over.
Which for them makes sense. They should absolutely play that up with their gimmick.
Yep. And so Trey Miguel is later than he's ever been on his tagging intro. I've never seen him this late, and that is it. I was even on 2x speed. It was still like very visible, so I didn't even have to go back and watch it at normal speed. It was very. So yeah. Taurus versus Trey Miguel. You know, okay, these guys, you already know they're gonna do stuff, right? And you can go back and watch this. It's free if you want, if you missed it. But you know, they do a bunch of stuff, including, which I don't recall ever seeing this, and I don't know if I would have wanted to see it, and I don't know if I want to see it again, but it looked pretty good. I will give him that. They were on the top rope and Taurus did a gorilla press slam off the top rope to Trey Miguel. So that's like, what is that? That's probably like 13 feet up without ladders or anything like that.
Let's see. Yeah. And there's end of the ring, right?
Yeah. He was standing. They were going like they were going to start a superplex thing, but he ended up picking him up over his head and slamming him into the ring.
Man, so let's see. How tall is the turnbuckle from the bottom of the ring to the top of it, plus however tall Taurus is with his arms fully extended?
Yeah, Taurus is probably just under 6 feet. So he's probably like 5'9" or something like that. With his arms extended, that's probably an extra 2 feet. The turnbuckle itself, and when I'm not counting from the floor, but I'm counting from the mat, it's probably about 5 feet to the top turnbuckle.
Yeah, so
a little less.
Yeah, about 12, 13 feet around there.
Yeah. Either way, again, without a ladder, pretty high. So there was that. That was a highlight, but Trey kicks out, so fuck it. And then he ends up doing a spot where he has like hidden spray paint in his crotch or whatever. It sprays him in the face. Like he goes to get a spray paint can to spray Taurus in the face in full view of the ref. And the ref says, hey, you can't spray a guy in the face. And he takes it. And then while he's putting it away, Trey pulls another can out of his pants and sprays him in the face and then hits his lightning spiral for the win. So there you go. Trey Miguel still the X Division champion. And now he'll have to face Kushida. And then I'll tell you what, Kushida ain't gonna gorilla press him off the top rope, that's for sure. He wouldn't do it even if he could. And then that's the end of our pre-show, and when we get into Hard to Kill, this is at Center Stage in Atlanta. They do a 10-bell salute for Don West, but no further memorial package or anything like that. I don't know if they're gonna have one planned or if they thought what they did was enough, but they get everybody out on the stage to do a 10-bell salute, just so that everybody's nice and sad. And then they kick off the show with Bully Ray versus Josh Alexander, Full Metal Mayhem. Because why would you want to leave anybody else on the show anything to do after this, right? But then I was thinking, well, I'm sure they won't do everything. I mean, this is Bully Ray here. Maybe he just doesn't want to do stuff, and this is just a gimmick match to hide the fact that he doesn't or want to or can't do stuff. So maybe they will leave something for everybody. But anyway, he goes out and he hides. Bully hides as soon as he comes out, and then Josh comes out looking stupid. Like, I guess there's no monitors back there. You couldn't have seen Bully do this. And he just starts walking down the ramp, and Bully hits him from behind with the chain, and then he grabs the belt and hits him in the face, and then he's bleeding before the bell even rings. They get in the ring, and then they ring the bell. Like they still do the "Are you okay, Josh?" They should have just started the match as soon as Bully attacked him. You know, like come on, it's
It's supposed to be. You're supposed to highlight the danger and violence of the match.
right. So, but they did, and you know, and of course, Bully, you know, because you can do anything in this match, and you can use all these things. It's Full Metal Mayhem, right? And what's more mayhem causing than a chop to the chest, right? You gotta chop a guy in the chest. Right before he grabs the belt again and hits him again, and then gets a cheese grater. Josh steals the cheese grater, and he causes Bully to bleed by hitting him with the flying cheese grater. It's like a flying forearm, but where you're holding a cheese grater instead. There's tables. They do table stuff. There's tacks. There's chains. There's ladders. Josh is trying to climb the ladder in the aisle so that he can jump on Bully, and Bully gets up and tips the ladder over, and Josh falls into the ring, into the tacks, which prompts Tom to do a "You gotta be kidding me" call in the honor of the late Don West. I'm sure Don would have loved this. The Carrot Patch runs in. They're obviously not as good at Devon as lifting people up because Josh kicked out of a 3D. So maybe they should work on their lifting and holding, because I'm sure that would have been over if that had been Devon. Josh gets zip tied again. Dreamer comes to help, and then he doesn't. Oh, I'm turning heel. I'm Tommy Dreamer. Oh, just kidding. I'm not turning heel. And then he hits Bully. So he comes down and he beats up the two guys first. Then they hand Bully, you know, he has the trash can. And then he's looking at Bully. Then he turns to Josh like he's going to hit him. Like, yeah, I just came and punched these other two guys just for the fun of it, but I was really on Bully's side the whole time. Yeah. What are you doing? Just come out there and hit Bully. You know, don't try to tease it.
Right, maybe that's when they should have come down, was when Tommy turned on Bully. Then they come down, jump Tommy.
Yes, but no. Because how the hell was Bully going to zip tie Josh Alexander? He's never been able to do that all by himself before. Oh, wait.
You couldn't have done a double down spot for Tommy to run in on?
No, you couldn't. You can't do anything. Bully's got to look strong with two guys. Anyway, you know, I'm just recounting this so you can... The reason I normally don't do play-by-play for these matches. And I'm skipping a lot of plays, by the way. But... the reason I'm doing it here is so that you can hear everything they did and how ridiculous it all sounds like when you just say it out loud and you're not watching it, right? So then his wife, Jen, who's not supposed to be there, but she is there anyway. I guess she found a sitter. She runs through the crowd, gets in, and begs for her husband's life. She's down there begging for Bully to not hit him or whatever because he's tied up and helpless. And, you know, we think they're going with maybe the spot where, you know, Josh will, perhaps he will give up just so that nothing happens to his wife. You know, maybe they're going with that whole thing. But instead she just, hits Bully in the groin. And then, she gives him the sliced bread number 2. Into the tacks. And then Josh climbs up the ladder and does a splash off the ladder through a table. Sorry?
I actually wonder, was she a worker at one point?
Yes, they don't hesitate to mention that every time she's on screen.
Okay.
So, all right. So that makes up for me not knowing how the design was spelled. So he does a splash off the ladder through the table, kick out, and then Josh puts on the ankle lock, and Bully submits to the ankle lock. So, anybody want to tell me what's wrong with that finish? Brandon, you can go first since you're the co-host.
Man.
Not sure? Chat? Got any ideas? It's an ankle lock for a finish. for a submission finish.
Where were they working? Where were they working the ankle? At no point were they even working that. It should have been a C4 spike.
Should have been a C4 spike, but
into some kind of
that's his-
weapons. I mean,
that's
it's
his- That's his submission. He wants to be dominant with the submission or whatever over Bully Ray more so than just a spike. He wanted him to give up. But what's wrong with that? I'm just waiting for the answers. While I'm waiting for the answers, I will say that Tara, who was Victoria in the WWE, and Raven both are backstage, and they reassure Mickey that she's great, and they're supporting her and all this other stuff. So a little bit of Candace Payson says nothing was wrong. He is the next Kurt Angle. Okay, you clearly don't get it, and you don't even know why you got unfriended on MySpace. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, I'll just go for it then. All right. Look, for the 50th time, I probably said this on podcasts. The ankle lock is a joint lock. It's not painful until your joints are broken. So when you put an ankle lock on a guy, it's a warning that you're going to maim him if he does not give up. Why would Josh Alexander at this point worry about warning Bully of anything? If he wanted to do a finish and Bully's only in here on a part-time, he should have grabbed the ankle, snapped it, grabbed the other ankle, snapped it, grabbed the arm, snapped it, grabbed the other arm, snapped it, and while Bully's just laying there like a fat dead fish on the ground, just put his foot on his chest and cover him. And then if you want Bully to stick around, he can do promos from the hospital and Traction where he's got a cast on all of his limbs. That would have been something that you would have wanted to see as a payoff for all the antagonizing that Bully Ray has done. Getting him to submit by gently warning him that, hey, I'll break your ankle, I'll break your knee. It actually pops the knee out if you twist the ankle or like that. So I'm just really tired of people using stuff from real mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu, but not actually doing it the way it's supposed to be done. If you go back and look at that WrestleMania 21 match with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels, where like Shawn Michaels he's in the ankle lock for like an outrageous amount of time. Like, it's ridiculous.
like if it were real, it should be broken.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you either break it or you don't. It doesn't take much to twist, just to do that little torque of pressure and then explode the person's patella off their, it's very, very simple. So if Shawn Michaels does not give up for that amount of time, Kurt Angle should just be like, well, fuck it then. I guess he's, and then that's it. Now you have no leg. In MMA, it's real, so people don't want to be crippled. That's why they tap out to things, So anyway, I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to the. There's a package, and then we do the 4-way elimination tag title match. It's the Major Players versus Heath and Rhino versus the Bullet Club versus Motor City Machine Guns.
Was it a total package?
It was not total. There was much room for improvement in the package. It was, but so what we were talking about was that all important momentum, right? That Heath built up.
Oh, yeah, and the momentum is more important than the title itself.
It's obviously more important. That's what everybody talks about too in their Hall of Fame speeches. They're like, I like to thank all my opponents for giving me the momentum. So what happens, the first elimination is that Rhino gets rolled up by Cardona as a schoolboy. So I guess fuck Heath's momentum because his partner didn't do shit. You just got beat first. So take that, momentum. Or it's genius storytelling. Either way,
fuck
time will
momentum.
tell. Yeah, fuck your momentum. They should have never gave you wrestlers money. All right, so then Ace Austin folds Brian Myers. And then after that, the Machine Guns run a thigh slapping train on Chris Bay for almost nonstop 2 or 3 minutes. And then Myers comes out to try to interfere and give him a breather. But nothing else really comes of that. And then they go back to running a train on Bay and beat him.
I'm stealing that phrase, thigh slapping train.
Thigh slapping train. You can have it. I'm mad that I ever had to come up with it. This was disgusting. Like, as much as we talk about Chris Sabin being 98 Goldberg, and now he's just having fun with his friends, beating up this kid, like giving him nothing. Like, it's ridiculous, and it looks phony too the whole time because it's Motor City Machine Guns double teams. So it's just like a lot of thigh slapping and pointing and synchronicity and.
Man, I will never, ever forget the night I saw Chris Hero split his leg open from that slapping his thigh too many times in a single match.
That'd be good. That'd be pretty good. Just see blood running down the... You got to wear the white tights on that night.
Oh, no, he was wearing the short ones where you could, like, see, like, the actual blood on his, like, the spot on his thigh was, like, red with blood where he was smacking himself every time.
Wow. Well... we reap what we sow. Anyway, after the Motor City Machine Guns finish, their slaughter of the Bullet Club, they're walking up the ramp, and then Frankie Kazarian's music hits. But he doesn't have anything to do with the match. I guess they were just like, we're running out of time. We'll just go out there. So Frank Kazarian passes by them and says, "Hey, congratulations," and goes down to the ring for his in-ring promo, so that he can announce that he is signing a long-term contract with Impact Wrestling. Or actually, he just signed one. So he's here. Frankie Kazarian's here.
I could see them putting the belt on him at some point if he's got a contract with them.
A long-term contract.
Long-term, exactly.
He didn't say how long or what term, but there it is. So Frankie Kazarian's back. Jordan Grace laces up the boots. See that? And then we move on to we get another package for Moose versus Joe Hendry for the Digital Media Championship.
Do you
now,
believe?
Buckshot Kid.
I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to believe. If I believe, that means that Moose is going under again. So I hesitantly did not believe. And then but Buckshot Kid warned me that I wasn't going to like this. And I was like, stop spoiling stuff. And then he didn't spoil it, but I just said, telling me what I'm going to think about it is a spoiler in and of itself almost. But anyway, we had the Falcons teammates in the front row. We had who was there? John Abraham and Algie Crumpler and Brian Finneran and somebody else I forget. I guess they were all on the Falcons when Moose was on the Falcons. So they're right there. And I looked later on in the show and they were still there. They didn't just walk them out to the front row to get the shot and then take them to the back or whatever like WWE does. They watched the show. But anyway, yeah. So there was another impressive gorilla press on this where Joe threw Moose out onto the floor from inside the ring. Just dumped him.
Damn.
Looked good. But the finish was Moose goes to get the belt, and he's going to use the belt, and the referee's like, "Hey, you can't use the belt." It's very similar to what he told Trey Miguel, earlier. "Hey, Moose, you can't use that belt to hit a human being." And Moose is like, "Oh." And then the referee took it, and while he was putting it away gently in the corner, Moose kicks Joe Hendry in the balls, hits him with the spear, covers him 1, 2, 3. New Digital Media Champion Moose. So we're all happy now. Except that we have a new director of authority. All right? And that is, unbelievably, Santino Marella. I say unbelievably because how the hell does he get to call himself Santino Marella?
That one kind of shocked me too. I was like, wait, what?
Is that a Triple H favor? Like, hey, let me use it. Like,
It might be.
how else can you explain that? He was definitely Anthony Corelli the last time he was on Impact Wrestling.
Yes, he was. Yeah, I remember he was doing commentary for I forgot what match it was, but he was on commentary.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, he's got this new gimmick. He's wearing like a badge, and like a sheriff's badge, and he's doing his accent, and he's basically Santino Marella again. So he restarts the match, and then they go a little bit longer. They get a false finish in, but then eventually Joe Hendry hits the standing ovation for the 1-2-3, and he is still your digital media champion. So, I didn't actually mind this. The match was probably the best match on the show, just in terms of, like, this is the first time we've actually just got to see two guys have a regular match. Okay, like, here's a guy, here's another guy. They have a wrestling match, they wrestle. At the end, there's a winner. Yeah, there's a little bit of shenanigans, but, I mean, what are you going to do? It's a classic Dusty finish.
And funny enough, we haven't had Director of Authority since Dusty.
Right. So now, here's the problem, though. The problem is Santino gonna run out and restart every single match in Impact because they all have this shit?
Right, that's the problem you run into. It's like, now you have to do it every time.
Right. Or just stop writing these finishes, and then you won't have to have the Director of Authority come out 20 times a show. But that's the thing. You can't be picky with it. But yeah, other than that, I liked it. So, I mean, I like Santino Marella. Always have. Former OVW buddy. Don't know if he'll come on any of these shows, but I don't have his contact info anymore. So, yeah. Let's see. Next is a Kenny King promo. He's going to talk about what he did earlier. He's saying that Mike Bailey is focused on wrestling, and that's wrong, because he should be focused on fighting, because they've got a fight pit match, and he wants to make sure that Mike is in the right mindset. And he makes a Tong Po reference. So, yeah. Was it I made a kickboxer reference on one of these shows recently where I said the old way. Oh, Liz, the WWE trademark on Santino Marella expired. It's now filed by Anthem as of December 2022. Why would they let that expire?
I don't know. One time they let Intercontinental Champions contract expire.
Yeah, but that's just Jeff Jarrett. We're talking about the name of Santino Marella here. He's named after fucking Gorilla Monsoon's son. All right. Well, anyway, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, it was on one of these shows I made the reference of, like, because somebody was talking about the old way, and I said, does that include dipping your hands in glue and broken glass? Because that's what I think the old way is. So I don't know. Maybe it's everybody just makes random kickboxer references, but maybe it has nothing to do with me. Maybe just them getting rid of those lights had nothing to do with us either. Maybe we don't have any influence on the professional wrestling business. So the number one contender 4-way match with the ladies, Deonna Purrazzo, Masha Slamovich, Killer Kelly, and the People's Witch, Taylor the Rock Wild. Killer Kelly has some Freddy Krueger inspired, her top and like her knee pad covers have the green and red stripes on them, so they're, she's into the spirit of it. These women have a 4-way match. I mean, that's as far as I'm going to get into the play-by-play for this. Kelly is doing her little choke move on Deonna, and Deonna's not passing out, and Masha picks up Taylor and snowplows her right onto all of them, and then pins Taylor for the 1-2-3. So Masha is the number one contender for whoever will come out of tonight's main event, the champion. Masha has a lot of shit in her face. And even though I personally don't like that, as a man looking at a woman in their attractiveness sense, I don't like a lot of like, metal rings and studs and all kinds of shit. Like, what are you supposed to kiss that? I don't understand it. But whatever.
Some guys like that.
Some guys like it, I don't. But that's not really what my concern is, because I'm not kissing Masha Slamovich anytime soon.
It's why is that not being used as an offensive thing? Like, why are you not pulling at that?
Yeah, she's got stuff in her like here under the lip. She's got a tongue stud. She's got a nose ring. She's got these piercings all over. And something's going to go wrong, and she's going to catch a wrong boot somewhere, and it's going to mangle her face, and you don't want to do that. It's too dangerous. I'm just suggesting that perhaps you take those out for your matches, because you have hard-hitting matches, and it's better to... you can wear them all the rest of the time for your promos, for your promotional pictures, anything you do, your social media, whatever. But for the match, I think maybe take them out if you can, just so that nothing horrible happens to you. That's just my advice.
It just blows my mind how this day one stuff managed to make it to TV like this. Like, I remember that's something that they were telling people like when I was training, like, take your stuff out before you get in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It doesn't even matter to these people. I saw somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody had their earring like ripped out or something. I saw like their ear was bleeding, and there was like, I can't remember. It may have been on AEW or somebody. But there's so many people with it, I can't even remember now. But I just remember seeing that and be like, I bet something got caught on that, and it just ripped it. It just ripped the bottom earlobe off.
Like at the bit, like at least when Jeff Hardy did it, they worked it into spots.
Yeah, it was still stupid, but yeah, they did. But I mean, Jeff Hardy just had those like those hoops, those gauges in there like that. That's not as much as like if you've got a stud going through both sides of your skin here, and like if that comes up through the top of your lip, you seriously want to let that heal for however long that's gonna take? Or you just have like an open lip, like some kind of a thing from Blade 2?
Right. And if I really want to be a heel in the ring, and I'm actually, and for John trying to tell us as being real, why wouldn't I reach into your mouth and try to rip that out and cause as much pain as possible?
Right. Oh, I would definitely be telling everybody that looks like that if I was having a match. I'm like, look, I'm going to grab at your face. I just want you to know that ahead of time so you don't get startled or whatever. But I have to do that because I would look stupid not to.
Yeah, you're protecting your business.
Yeah. Labrat thinks it was Moxley, but he bleeds so often, who knows? Who knows where it's coming from? Yeah, but so there you go. Masha, number one contender. Then we get a package for the Falls Count Anywhere match, and Raven gets on commentary. So we got Burt Macklin versus Rich Swann Falls Count Anywhere, which starts when Swan is with Gia and no music underneath. You're welcome again. That's and Raven. I don't know if Raven's the best person to be getting for guest commentary, but anyways, yeah, it's a backstage interview that gets jump started. They're brawling back there. They're brawling in the parking lot or where the cars enter and exit the building. Raven hopes someone gets hit by a car. There's a spear through some of the extra guardrails they have out there. They almost go to the street. They almost go kind of to the sidewalk. Then after they fight outside the building for a while, they cut back to like they're going back inside the building, like to the arena, and they teleport back to the ring, like by the side of the ring. Like in the time that they cut from them going through like whatever entranceway they were coming back to the time they appeared at the ring side area, like in between the barricade and the ring, was instantaneous. So that had to be some kind of a fuck up on the pre-tape or something where they didn't transition fast enough back to see them coming through the crowd or whatever it was, because there's no way this could have happened like this. So that was a huge production gaffe. But anyway, Macklin does an ugly power bomb outside on Swan. It's like one of those running Liger bombs, and I was afraid that we were going to get a D'Lo Brown and Draws situation, but apparently Swan was okay as you could be, getting power bombed on the outside. And then there was a Macklin hit the KIA on the ramp, some weird ramp. It wasn't the main ramp. It was like some side ramp that was going downwards. But it wasn't in the ring because falls count anywhere, and that's the gimmick. So he hits his DDT out there, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3. Macklin's your winner. Rich Swann did his best, but wasn't good enough. So there you go. And then we get another package. So they're doing a nice little package for all these matches. It's Fat Eddie versus the Octopus. So I'm going to start by saying that a lot of Jonathan Gresham's stuff is, like, I like the idea of Jonathan Gresham. I like his, I like his gear and his gimmick. I like that he's a wrestler who wrestles. I like that that's something that he focuses on. So I do like all those things. What I don't like is that a lot of his stuff, more than I care to see, is overly exaggerated and phony. Like, just very pro wrestling phony, like what he does. It just seems like that's one thing. And I've seen him not do it a few times, so I know he's capable of being more serious, but it seems like everything's a joke. Even in a match like this, which wasn't a joke, it still seemed like it was kind of a joke. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? I mean, you're familiar with Jonathan Gresham.
I kind of get what you're seeing. Like, his offense is really unbelievable and fake, and like you'd only see it in wrestling. Like, if this were a real fight, you'd never see anybody do the stuff that he does.
Yes, but also on top of that, there's things that he does that are just traditional wrestling things, but the way his body language is, it makes it seem like it's not serious. Like, there's one thing where he's like, it's one thing when you're like out wrestling somebody and you're kind of like mocking them, laughing at them or whatever. And then there's like what Colt Cabana does. Like there's a night and day kind of difference in those similar style things. And I think Jonathan Gresham is more Colt Cabana than Zack Sabre Jr., if that makes sense to people.
I can see the logic in that.
And he also, like, he needs more things than just the big arms appeal, that everybody in wrestling does, where they just hold their arms out like, what's up, what are you gonna do, or whatever. And then I'm a better wrestler than you. That's not gonna work on me. It's fucking the Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park. Like, yeah. He needs more than just those things.
Yeah, like the scolding thing.
Yeah, I was thinking, too, like he did this a couple times in this match where he got hit in the face, and he sells it like this, like he grabs his face and he's like starts pointing to his face, like, I got hit in the face, like, I don't get it. I don't get what that's supposed to be.
That seems a little too much. Like if you get hit in the nose, you just grab the nose and sell away. Like, that's enough to tell us you got hit in the nose, and that's where you're hurting.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like that would be if you were like at best. Let's say you were in a Ring of Honor Pure Rules match where closed fist punches and strikes to the face are not allowed. If you do that to tell somebody, like if you're telling the ref, hey, he hit me in the face, okay, then that makes sense. In this match is not that. Eddie's going to hit you in the face as many times as he wants. It's not against the rules to him. So what are you doing? I don't get it. If you're in an amateur wrestling contest or any other contest where you're not allowed to get hit in the face, I could understand signaling that you were hit in the face. I don't get it here. So, anyway, he did that a couple times. He also did something like this. They're doing a spot where it's like a fighting spirit where they're slapping each other. And Jonathan Gresham, like, he's like going to slap Eddie, and he collapses mid-slap. Like, oh, the effect has finally accumulated, and I can't take it anymore, and I'm going to swing, but I can't. It looked
the
so
adrenaline
ridiculous.
wore off.
The adrenaline finally wore off, except it didn't, because a few seconds later he was just back doing the fighting spirit and just bowing up and doing his I'm strong, like this is, oh my god,
Like the whole Seth Rollins selling the knee when it's convenient.
but somehow even worse. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's because I hold him to a higher standard. I don't know why he has to do things to make it fake. Now here's one that's not necessarily his fault. The giant lady ref, like there was a spot where John is up on the top for like a super long time, and like they're like he and Eddie are like fighting to do something. Like he climbed up there to do something, and Eddie stopped him, and then he kicked Eddie off, and Eddie went to sell. But anyway, he's been up on this turnbuckle for like almost a minute, and the giant lady ref, instead of, she's like making the prayer emoji, like please get down off the top, and she keeps doing this thing that referees do. Like you seen the referees like to do the grab thing, like bring it out of the corner. Bring yourself out of the, like, I cannot stand referees these days. I love the disinterested refs of like the 70s and 80s and 90s, that just stood there with their arms at their sides and only moved to count a pin. Like they almost seemed like they were too bored to be there. Now all these referees are just trying to get in on the action. But anyway, so she's begging John Gresham to get off the top rope, even though he's clearly selling. It's like, please get off of there, please, and just count.
I remember one of the things I was taught when it came to reffing was if they don't remember you being in the way, you did a decent job.
Yeah, so true. We have very few refs. I can name very few refs that are even worth a shit now. And if I did, it'd probably be somebody like Charles Robinson, who is like, well, duh, he's from the previous generation of refs. But come on, Charles, like, explain to these mark idiots that couldn't make it as wrestlers. You can always tell the referees that wanted to be wrestlers because they're just randomly jacked, and someone just told them they were too small, And that didn't stop Jonathan Gresham. You don't see him with a striped shirt on, but fuck, you settled for being a ref, and now you still act like you're a wrestler trying to entertain people? Knock it the fuck off.
From what I understand, WWE wanted Tasha Steelz to be a ref.
I could see that. No! You can't have a ref like that. Tasha Steelz has something. And you could tell that this lady wanted to be a wrestler just by the size of her. Jesus Christ. She's taller than both people in this match, I think. Anyway. So Eddie hits the Boston Knee Party and wins the match. So I guess Jonathan Gresham left his copy of PWI at home. And then
well, he got it for his 1 year. He's good.
Okay.
It's 2023 now. It's a new.
Right. He realizes he can't use that anymore as leverage, right? That's old news. Okay. So the lights go out, and then PCO appears, and he's spitting sand out of his mouth, and he has a shovel, and he hits Eddie with it. Yeah, he He unburied himself, and he kept all the sand in his mouth until he could finally make it to Atlanta. He walked from Las Vegas to Atlanta with all the sand in his mouth, and then waited to spit it out till the lights came on.
That sounds like some like really bad 70s just wrestling.
I still don't know if the 70s did anything as bad as this. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah. PCO was there, Candace Spaceman. He was there. So we get another package. And then it's the main event. Mickie James versus Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship. They have a group of drum players and dancers from the Mattapanai tribe to help play Mickie off the ramp. Mickie does her little dance, and she I don't know if this is ceremonial or what. I'll just assume that everything was above board and authentic. And then they hit hardcore country, and she goes the rest of the way down the ramp. And then we got her mom and her dad are in the front row. Her kid is there. Tara's there. Even David LaGreca is there. No Nick Aldis. He's not there. He has no reason to support his wife or anything like that.
And plus, he was not like he was at Slammiversary for part of Team TNA against, Team Honor No More.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Nick. Your services aren't required. Go sell your legacy subs or whatever. Which I'm running out of. Where's my supplement? Running out of my X-Lean 5, so I'm gonna have to reorder and use a promo code to save whatever % off my next order. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know. This was just a match. Jordynne Grace fought her top as much as she fought Mickie James in this match because it kept coming off to the side, and there I could see there was like some sort of a bandaging or some tape or something like that. It seemed a little high to be over the nipple, but it was probably there to just like hold the thing in place. But that's the thing. When you get new gear made, you gotta have it done in enough time. Like she probably knew this match was coming for a while, and you gotta have the gear made in enough time that you can get it, try it on, and make sure that it's gonna fit right, so that you have time to make alterations before the actual event. I know that's difficult, but I mean that is kind of what happened here. You could just tell that the gear didn't fit. So it kept moving off to the side, and she just kept pulling it back the entire time, like when she was supposed to be selling or whatever. Oh, Lab Rat missed PCO too. Everybody missed PCO? Well, fucking go back and watch it then, because you don't want to see the stupidest shit you ever seen in your life. You wouldn't want to just take my word for it. I know you probably just tuned out as soon as you saw Eddie and Gresham were going to have a match, but go back to the end of it.
Yeah, think like bad early 90s wrestle crap, like the mini movies they did.
Yeah. Think of that. But anyway, so now we're thinking about Mickie James in her last match. There was a point where Jordynne had her in a sleeper. And Mickie, she fucking tapped out in the sleeper. I don't know what the hell was going on, but she was just like, the sleeper was on, and she was just like that, and then she like rolled back or whatever and got out of it somehow, and then they put it back in it, but it was like a tap out. So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know if that was like the fake tap out to get her to let up or something like that or whatever. The commentators didn't really make a big deal out of it. or say anything about it. I didn't even know if they referenced it.
Hey, yeah, that sounds really awkward. Like, the only thing I could think of is maybe Mickey might have had a brain fart and thought that was like, I don't know, might have thought of something, she was doing something else. I don't know. I could see
I
like
I
you usually
doubt it.
be like that that's an Iggy to go to something else, and she might have had a brain fart or something. I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think she would have done that because it shouldn't have even occurred to anybody under any circumstances, unless the spot was to give Jordan Grace like a beef. Like, hey, she tapped out. Like unless that was just there to give her an out for losing, because she does. Mickey hits the tornado DDT and gets a 1-2-3. The finish is a little bit flat. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like, I don't think Jordan is skilled enough to build a match up to the point that we were supposed to get the emotional payoff for a win that we, like it just didn't come off that way. It was just a boring match that was like every one of her other matches. And not that the women didn't work hard. I'm not saying that, but in the story in the ring though was not really compelling, and it didn't seem like they were telling the story that Mickey was out of her league and pulling off one last win at the very end, or that she was strong enough and competitive enough to still be in this thing. I don't know what story they were telling. It just seemed like they did moves. But this weird tap out thing, which I saw, I don't know what the purpose of it was because they didn't use it. If there was a purpose for it, they didn't use it. She went back in the sleeper. The best thing I can say about these sleepers is that Mickey's hair was like all covering her face, and she did not brush it out of the way. She did not do a hairbrush. So that's that veteran presence of Mickey James, not brushing the hair. She's like, oh, you guys, you can still see my face. You still know who I am. I don't need to brush this. I'll just sell the move. So there was that. But Mickey James wins. She's the new Knockouts champion. She doesn't have to retire unless she does. I don't know. I don't know what her stipulations were. I didn't know if she said if once you win the championship, the I lose my next match and I retire thing is over, or it's just whatever's the next match she loses, she's going to retire, because that would be kind of lame.
That's kind of what the vibe I was getting to, was like the whole thing was it was to build to getting the title, and if she lost anything along the way to the title, because that was the whole point of the whole last rodeo.
Yeah, I mean, if you've won the title and you've proven that you can do it, I don't think you need to retire on a loss anymore, especially not in a 6-person tag.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Lara says that was a spot on Mickey. Thank you. I've been practicing my Mickey James. So yeah, and Buckshot Kid says, this is why I said no consistency. He's referring to a conversation we had on twitch.tv/opinionhaver. Yeah, why didn't Santino come out? Well, I don't know. Was that the spot to come out on? Because I don't even know if it was supposed to be a spot. I don't know what they were doing. It didn't make sense.
It did not make sense.
This is Chewbacca. So this is your new champion, Mickey James. So we go off Hard to Kill, mostly happy, I guess. It was an okay show. I mean, I'm being hard on these guys, but they were all working hard for everybody. It's not anything that they did in the ring. It's more, well, some things in the ring, but it's more so just like learning the psychology of where you're at on the card and what you're supposed to do in that spot. It makes it real hard on everybody if they're going to put the Full Metal Mayhem match first, because now you got to follow it. And what can you do? It's just you have to like, now you have to hit the reset button and bring everybody back down again, just to, and they did that by, I think they did okay, because they put the 4-way match, which is so much going on in this 4-way match that you can't even really follow it, and you're probably like checking your phone. But like, that's a good way to, at the very least, for the people who are paying attention, they're getting some excitement because there's a lot of body movement. And then after you've gotten that, and then you get your Frankie Kazarian announcement, Now you can settle down and just have an actual wrestling match, which is what Moose and Hendry had, you know, and but it takes that long just to get everything back to, and then you got to have another match that's essentially the same as the Full Metal Mayhem match right in the middle of all this. You got to like reset the show for them, and then everybody else got to follow that. It's just, you know, you're following that with you're ending the show with 2 regular one-on-one singles matches, you know, after you've already seen 2, you know, do whatever the fuck you want matches. It's rough on the talent when they do that.
Yeah, that is one area Impact still needs some work on, is match and show structure.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, like, that's what everybody needs to work on. It's not just Impact. Everybody needs to work on this. Nobody's really getting it right. So, with that being said, that was your Hard to Kill. Like I said, I thought it was fine. I thought that the Moose and Hendry match was the best match because it was the closest thing resembling professional wrestling that we saw on this show, other than Fat Eddie and Jonathan Gresham being phony, or Mickey and Jordan had a fine match, I guess. It just wasn't what I wanted or what they could have done, I felt. But it really was just about the moment at the end, so. And then we've already got something else like coming up next week is like, or this week, later this week is New Year's Revolution. I can't believe January's already half over. New Year's Revolution, and then something else coming in February, I forget. They just got a bunch of stuff that it's just not going to stop. They're advertising stuff as far out as, what was it, April? For whatever that show is. I can't remember.
But hey, it's good that they're actually got that, you know, shit lined up and taken care of, because when you have your shows booked, you can start booking and having your storylines laid out that far.
Yes, you can.
That's if they actually do it, though.
If they do it. They'll try to do it.
I will say Impact does that better than anybody, of actually having their stories structured and laid out and actually following a linear path and staying at least a decent continuity with it.
Yeah, I think that comes from, you know, you have to write several weeks at a time because you're taping it. And I know that, say, for example, the WWE is not in a position where they can ever move away from live. They have to be live because that's just what people are used to now. But, you know, they would have so much more control over their product if they were taping stuff, you know?
Right. And in a weird way, sometimes, like, even though the spontaneity of a live show can create some fantastic moments, sometimes having to be able to control it and create it yourself sometimes works out better.
Right. You get a lot of burnout too, because the pressure to produce, you know, and you can't change anything on the spot, and when you do, it throws everything else off. So it's one of the things that's hurt professional wrestling that people really don't talk about is the necessity of going live every single week now. Like that's just accepted for the major companies, and it makes it way more difficult on them. So
I think that the WWE in the Attitude Era had the best setup for like how they did their shows. Like they did Raw live, you know, one Monday, then the next night they taped next week's Raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was good enough. But anyway, that's gonna have to be good enough for us. We talked about this go home show and this pay-per-view. Again, it was a fine pay-per-view. I think Impact fans, those mythical Impact fans that we talked about earlier, I think they would be happy with it. But yeah, it was all right. And that's gonna do it for us this week. So, Brandon, tell the people what you're up to and where they can find you.
You can find me at all the places. You can find me at Twitter at Transarchistia, as well as Twitch at Miss Tia the Transarchist. We're actually be doing some more Wrath streams this week. So we got Oldawar dropping. This is the next phase of the Wrath Classic deal they're doing. So we're gonna be getting in that. That's actually a one of the better raids they've actually released. So we're gonna be having a lot of fun with that. They're gonna be extending the time they have that open, so to do the hard modes and the more difficult fights. So looking forward to that one.
All right. And what days of the week or times can people maybe expect to see you shoot for this week?
Ooh, that is a good question because we're not really sure what time we haven't really got our raid set up for the guild with the guild yet. We're starting to have a meeting with that tomorrow, but the actual thing doesn't drop till Thursday, so might do something then. Not 100% sure, but we shall see.
All right. Well, stay tuned. All right. As for me, you can find me at Opinion Haver everywhere on all the social media platforms. You can find me on the Next Level Wrestling Review with Big Ray Hernandez every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We've had a string of wonderful guests, and we kicked off the new year with Victor from the Ascension coming on and chatting with us, which was great. Catch up with him after all these years, and then we're gonna have this week we'll have our own HMG's own Richard Bronson Vickery will join us, and we'll be talking about stuff. And then we've got what else? Sometimes the Smack Attack is on, and if it is, I might be on it. But sometimes people want to go see William Shatner, so there's no episode. I don't know. I'm just there to help out. It's not my show, but if it comes on, there's a good chance that I will be part of it. So if you care, that's where I'll be. If you didn't check out the PWC with their Wrestle Kingdom review with myself and Jimmy T, give the PWC a follow. They're doing lots of good stuff, and they're affiliated with Hameen Media Group, so you'll see a lot of familiar faces between both brands. What else is news? Stevie Richards has a new the Big Fitness Show every Wednesday on YouTube, so I'll be reminding you after Next Level to go check that out. But just in case you're not a Next Level watcher, and why the hell wouldn't you be, I'm letting you know now. Big Fitness Show with Stevie Richards. So he talked about the mission statement in episode 1 and episode 2. He and Big Mike Barons talked about their New Year's resolutions and the whole concept of New Year's resolutions. So it's a good listen for anybody that's thinking about, oh, how can I be fit and different in 2023, and how can I change my habits, and what are some things that I'd like to accomplish. Listen to those guys talk about it. It's pretty entertaining. And then what else was going on? Live Q&As with Rip Rogers and Wrestling with Rip Rogers on YouTube. Sometimes I'm featured on those things, but if I'm not featured, then sometimes you'll see other great guests. Like they had one of the Bashams. I apologize, I don't remember which one. They just had one of them on, but they've had all kinds of great guests on, and they do a great show too. So check that out on their YouTube channel. Give it the like, comment, and subscribe. That whole thing. I think that's just about everything that I need to cover. So of course for me, twitch.tv/opinionhaver, I'll be streaming stuff. I'll be doing $2 Tuesdays tomorrow. What cheap game am I going to be playing this week? You'll just have to tune in and find out, but it should be interesting. I think that's just about everything. So, for Brandon, I have been the vet, and I don't have a sign off line.